Hello, and welcome if you're new here, or welcome back if you have already watched some of my videos. My name is Veronica, and today I want to guide you through a meditative art practice, and I just want to chat with you. So if you want to tap in for a quick vlog, I would be delighted to have you here, and feel free to use whatever media you would like to paint along with me, or draw, or just sketch, or why not, to use my voice to take a nap. I start with a white canvas and I use a mix of water-based paint to have this deep pink background. It's just like some like regular strokes, and then I leave it to dry. Now, I wanted to write a really nice essay for this video. I wanted to talk about how and why I created this painting. Can we call it painting truly? It's just like some colors that I threw on a canvas in my living room for a simple reason. I don't know if we can call it painting. It sounds so serious. But yeah, I couldn't really write something that satisfied me, something that really captured what I wanted to say. And so I will just wing it. Because why not? Sometimes we have to do something that we are not used to. And as I was saying in a previous video, we need to let our bodies free to explore and to communicate through their express and to communicate through expression and gestures. I started painting this for a friend. And friendship is something complicated when you've been traveling a lot and you've lived in different places and your friends have lived in different places. And so your heart is kind of like scattered around 4 continents, and you see each other 2 or 3 times a year on a video call on Zoom, and you talk for like 5 hours, and then you don't hear from each other for the following 6 months. I think it's a very relatable experience, as some of our friends we might have never met, but there is something to finding people that speak to our soul and people that we feel energized with. And that helps me, that feeling of being able to share anything with someone. It makes me feel like I can endure months of not seeing each other, of not talking to each other. Because I know that when the moment will come that we talk or that we see each other, I will feel 100% myself. And I will feel like at that point, my life makes sense completely. And so I have not seen this friend for about 3 years. And I'm gonna tell you how we met. We were studying together in St. Petersburg, both part of an overseas study semester. She is from South Korea. I am from Italy. And we got along. I was quite intimidated by her at first. And in a way, I'm always intimidated by girls, especially when I perceive them to be prettier or more likable than me, or in a sense, more feminine than me. And this is no girl's fault. It is no girl's fault. This is misogyny fault. And it is something that I consciously fight against. I have always felt intimidated by girls, even when I was growing up. It was almost as if I could feel that I didn't really feel like I fit in, and I didn't really fit in with boys either. So, um, I didn't really like kids when I was a kid. I like people better now that I'm an adult. But yeah, I felt intimidated by her at first and by her friends. Um, all of them were like so pretty and like they cared so much about they took so much pride in their appearance. Um, and I was I was envious a little bit. I also sometimes have the idea that, like, if a girl presents herself in a certain way, people will like her better. And I'm not sure whether this applies to my friend in this case. This is just a little bit of a ramble that I'm going on. So if you're here and you're listening to me yap, um, thank you so much. um, have you ever felt like, as a girl or even as a boy, there is some sort of like competition that is like, girl, so confusing, and you don't really know how to navigate that. I'm not really feminine. I'm not a particularly feminine person. And I always feel like that when I try to be more feminine, I am just cosplaying as a gender expression that is not really my own. Even though I ended up, after teenhood wore off, I ended up liking very feminine things, I guess. As an adult, I am a fierce lover of pink and pastel colors, and I like all things fairy and cute. And I even dress like that, but there is something that does not really fit into this picture. And this was one of the reasons why I chose pink for this painting. This color is so controversial. I hated it when I was growing up. I could feel that it was not my choice to like this color. I could feel the imposition that came with this color. And I did not dress like a doll when I was a child. My mother loved everything camo and military, and so for like the better part of my childhood, I was dressed like a little private. However odd that might sound. And maybe also for that reason, I struggle with the way I perceive my gender expression and my expression of femininity. Growing up, I saw all these girls wearing cute colors and like more feminine shapes, even though we were children. And I looked at myself dressed in khakis, and there was something that I could not understand and I could not articulate. And I think this experience is so common for so many people, of just like going through their childhoods and not having a blasted idea of what is going on around them and being confused all the time. There is to say that in adulthood, I have also been diagnosed with autism, and that might explain a few things. The reason why I wanted to gift her something from me, something that I made, and something that I did my best to make hers. I tried to portray in these colors the way I see her, the way I perceive her lightness and her femininity as well. Maybe it is weird to put so much thought in a gift for a friend. At this point, if you're watching, I was struggling with basically everything that you can see on the canvas because I thought it was so horrible. Nothing looked the way I wanted it to look. I was figuring in my head a kind of like explosion of pastel colors and colors blended together. But nothing of the sort was happening. And if you notice, those shapes are completely warped. But still, I was trusting my intuition and I was trusting that my body and some part of my psyche that I do not really have access to knew what it was doing. And as you will see later, I think it turned out pretty nice. But that is not the point. The point is to understand where our bodies are. The point is to understand where the wisdom lies and how we can listen to it and bring it forward. There is something that I practice whenever I need to access a certain feeling. And if you'd like, you can try this with me. If you're painting or drawing, you might want to stop yourself. Pose your paintbrush or your pen or your pencil. Close your eyes and draw a deep breath. Think of a moment where you felt deeply loved, and think of a moment when you felt happy. Remember the last time that someone made you smile. And now, think of someone you love. It may be a friend, a partner, a pet, or a parent, a sibling, a relative, or a stranger. Why not? Sometimes strangers deliver the best lines, and it is nice if you're thinking of a stranger. It might mean that the last time you felt love was maybe while serving a coffee. Who knows? But think about the last time that someone you love made you feel happy. I want you to immerse yourself into the memory. Breathe through it. Let the memory wash over your body. Whenever I feel alone or sad, whenever I would like to reach out for a friend, but they are 4 time zones away, or whenever I send a meme at 2 a.m. in the morning and I know that a reply might not come for a few weeks, I hold that feeling within me, close to my heart. I let it wash over me. And in that moment, I do not feel lonely. I feel as if I were in the presence of a friend. I feel as if their love has spread around the world just to reach me. And with the same trust that I do this practice with, something in my body told me, when looking at this whack of colors and these messy shapes, pick up a brush. Pick up a brush and do the best thing you can do. The thing you're so good at. Paint a system. You know how patterns and recurring shapes make you feel good, and they give you that very satisfactory feeling that you're just like, oh yes, this makes so much sense. my body looks at this and it is happy. I was just feeling what my hand wanted to do. And I let this gesture that rose from within dictate the way this canvas was going to turn out. There was no conscious thought. It was just do this. Feel the shape with your hand. Feel what it is to make a swirl, to watch the color melt away and blend. And do this thing. Oil color has this amazing plasticity to it that you can not just draw shapes, but you can almost sculpt it and create something that is not just bright and contrasting, but something that has depth, that has a three-dimensional shape. And if you do this, if you try this technique of putting various blotches of colors on your canvas with a spatula and then going over it with a paintbrush, just be careful. Oil paint blends in a different way compared to water-based paint or acrylic. And the first color that you touch will be dragged onto the others until it is exhausted or until you stop and put in the effort to blend it. Because oil painting likes to stand out. When blended, it is amazing. But oh boy, you need to work your paint to have a blend, especially a smooth blend. Was I satisfied at this point? No. Was I trusting that I would like the result enough to gift it to someone? And did I feel scared? That one, yes, I did. I felt scared and worried that this person might look at this painting and not understand why I decided to make it for her. That would have been truly distressing. That would have made me feel hurt. Not because I want people to like the art that I paint at all costs. Everyone has a right to a taste and to their opinion. What would have hurt me had she not liked it? Had she said, "Oh, thank you. Why did you paint this for me?" Skepticism and surprise would have hurt quite deeply. But why? Well, because it would mean that I didn't really see her and that she She did not see herself in my understanding of her. Because this painting, I've only could have painted it for her. I am preparing 2 other paintings for friends, and they are going to look completely different. And I could only make them for that specific person. Does this make sense? I don't know. But if you've ever made something for someone, you might know whether the thing at hand is knitting a blanket or sewing them something or making them a bracelet. But you know that when you make some things and you make them for someone, that act is intimately tied to that specific person. I could not have made this for anyone else. I will make different paintings for different people, but all of them will reflect the way I feel about them, the way I perceive them in their lightness, in their darkness, the way I perceive them in my emotions, in my feelings, in my heart. And it is such a vulnerable position to bear yourself on a piece of canvas with the only purpose of giving a piece of your heart to someone. Because otherwise, in 6 months from now, they might be there at 2 a.m. sending you a meme and thinking, oh, how I wish I could talk to Veronica now. But time and space prevents us from doing that. And at that point, they could glance at this canvas and see the tangible proof and the tangible expression of my friendship for them. And they will read the words that if I could, I might utter to them at that very moment. When they reach for me and I'm not there. And what I would say to them. And this will be different for anyone, for any of my friends. But my words to this friend were and are always going to be, stay shiny. Be whole. Thank you for being with me today.